On today's 49ers report, San Francisco just signed a pass rusher, which they badly needed to do, as we talked about on yesterday's show. We have an injury update on one of the Niners star players looking ahead to week one. This Nick Bosa situation continues to be pretty concerning, and some position battles to watch tonight. Preseason finale between the Niners and the Raiders. We'll be doing a watch party for that game right here on the show, which is why you got to hit that subscribe button, because our watch party is the best place to experience a Niners game day outside of being at the actual game. We go live for those. We do regular live shows. We give you programming every single day year round, whether it's long form videos like this, whether it's YouTube shorts, all Niners updates all the time, as we love talking Niners football right here on the program. So lock us in, hit that sub button as we approach 200,000 subscribers. Today's show, of course, is also presented by Prize Picks. The 49ers announcing today, as they worked out yesterday, and there were reports circulating that they were going to move in this direction, that they have signed edge rusher Jod Joyner to a one-year contract. He's a pretty interesting athlete. The corresponding roster move for San Francisco, they have placed defensive lineman Victor Dimukeji on the injured reserve list. They had signed him about a week and a half ago, as we talked about on the Niners report. Joyner previously played for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was a UDFA in 2025. He played his college football at Minnesota, did not play an NFL game during the 2025 regular season, but did play 52 snaps in the preseason for Las Vegas. And when I talk about the athletic measurables here, Jod Joyner had a pretty good Senior Bowl week. He has a lot of length to him. He's very physical, checks in at 6'5", 265 pounds, some pretty long arms as well. He is lined up exclusively on the edge, although you do have to wonder with that size of 6'5", 265 and how the Niners have operated in the past with defensive line coach Chris Kocurek and what they've done with the likes of Keon White, Charles Omenihu, Arden Key, Micah Williams, if they develop Joyner on the practice squad, because I don't think he's going to make the 53, of course. Can they have him be that hybrid guy who can play a little bit of defensive tackle, a little bit of defensive end? We've seen that from guys like Cleveland Ferrell as well. So that's kind of how I view Jod Joyner. He played 10 games in the UFL last year, did have a tryout with the Pittsburgh Steelers in June of 2026, never signed a deal. Then he tried out for the Niners yesterday, and he has signed a contract with San Francisco. Played for the Houston Gamblers in the UFL, 10 games played. He had 28 total tackles. He had 6 TFLs, only a half sack. Did break up a pass with that long wingspan. He grew up in Danbury, Connecticut, 6'4 and a quarter, now listed at 6'5. He was 6'4 and a quarter in the pre-draft, 262. Now he's listed at 265. 34-inch arms, and he can kind of move pretty well for that size. He clocked a 4.6 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine coming out of Minnesota, heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. In 2020 in college, he didn't play. 2021, he redshirted but played in 4 games as a reserve. 2022, he played in all 13 games. He had 15 tackles, 2.5 TFLs, 1.5 sacks with the pass breakup. In 2023, an honorable mention All Big Ten player, led Minnesota with 7.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. He played 13 games with only 1 star. So he was a reserve and still led the team in sacks with 7.5. And then in 2024, honorable mention, All Big Ten player again, started 12 games. He had 5.5 TFLs with 4.5 sacks, 7 pass breakups. From an edge rusher, that's a very high number. Did not play in the team's Duke's Mayo Bowl win over Virginia Tech. And when the Niners always bring some of these players in, I love popping up the scouting report, especially in the pre-draft. I'll read Dane Brugler's draft guide or take a look at these NFL.com scouting reports from Lance Zierlein. And here is what NFL.com had written about Jod Joyner coming out of college. And it highlights some of the things that we've talked about here on the show today. Long-limbed edge defender with highs and lows on tape that make him a little bit more challenging to project. He's tight-hipped, short-stepping rusher with unimpressive speed and power, although he did clock a 4.6 40-yard dash. His handwork is basic, but he's resilient, creates opportunities on the edges by utilizing his length and nose for the ball, lacks a functional anchor to hold up against NFL run blockers, will need to play wide or standing until he improves his core strength and tightens up his block take-on. Joyner has traits, but too many mismatched pieces in his game, which makes him a developmental prospect with a lower ceiling. As far as the strengths to his game, uses long levers to create leverage and win on the edges. Always a threat to strip quarterbacks when running the arc. That's the length right there. Sneaky slap and rip moves. So slap and rip to help him beat tackles inside. Flashes quick punch and discard talent into first contact. Zombie-like resilience makes him difficult for blockers to finish. So this is a high motor type of player. Pursuit intensifies once he smells a play to be made. He's got a knack for making plays on the football, and he should be playing tonight against the Las Vegas Raiders. So that is a player to watch. All right, more to get to here on the 49ers report, but today's show is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports picks app in North America. Pick more, pick less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. This is the #1 place to win cash while watching sports. You can also select team picks, and you can select winners, spreads, or totals. For instance, do you like the Niners to beat the Raiders tonight? Do you like the Niners to beat the Rams in week 1? So that's an example of how you could put together a lineup. Here's a season-long lineup that I put together. Jalen Hurts, more than 21.5 passing touchdowns. He's been over that number in 2 of the last 3 years. The only time he was under it was 2024 when the Eagles had that great rushing attack. Brock Purdy, more than 3 rushing touchdowns. He's a great quarterback sneaker, really good at extending plays beyond the structure. And then Bijan Robinson, more than 1,150.5 rushing yards. That is a $20 lineup to win $120. Season-long lineup for you right there on Prize Picks, but you can also select 2 to 6 player stat projections for a game. So pick more, pick less, pick Prize Picks. Really appreciate Prize Picks for making today's show possible. All right. Let's get back to it here. Mike Evans, earlier in training camp, suffered a quad injury. Mike Evans, the last couple of years, has been a banged-up football player. Mike Evans is going to be 33 years old this upcoming season. When healthy the last couple of years, he's been tremendous. He started his career with 11 straight years of more than 1,000 yards. He's a future Hall of Famer. The Niners got him on a bargain deal to be their ex-number 1 wide receiver this year. But the injury history continues to be concerning, especially with this football team. So Mike Evans earlier in camp injured his quad. Now he's dealing with a groin injury. According to reports, he plans to play week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams, which is coming up in Melbourne, Australia, September 10th. The Niners are leaving in a week, but I have no confidence that Mike Evans will play in that game until I see him on the field playing, suiting up for San Francisco. It's another soft tissue injury. It's another injury to Mike Evans, who's an older player who I think is a great scheme fit for San Francisco, but that hinges on him being healthy. As far as the Nick Bosa situation, I've been concerned about Nick Bosa's knee injury over the last couple of weeks as we're approaching 3 weeks of Bosa not practicing. Remember, he has undergone 3 ACL surgeries in his football life. He had a partially torn ACL in high school. He tore his ACL year 2 in 2020 after his tremendous 2019 rookie campaign. And then the ACL that he tore last year was the same one that he partially tore when he was in high school. And when the doctor did his procedure, he had said that he repaired some of the tendonitis that Bosa was dealing with, and that naturally happens with some of these ACL injuries. But the Bosa family, the dad, Joey, Nick, they've all been injured a lot throughout their football careers. Nick Bosa has been the healthiest of the 3, but anytime there is soreness or tendonitis in a surgically repaired knee that is leading to Bosa being out for 3 weeks, that is a cause for concern, because that means that Bosa, who hasn't gone through a full practice all summer long, was healthy enough to start camp. He was not placed on PUP. He did some one-on-ones and did some drills and looked really good, but as he tried to ramp it up, that's when the soreness set in. If the 49ers are without Nick Bosa at all this year, or for an extended period of time, they're in serious trouble. They had 20 sacks last year. Bosa got hurt in week 3. Not having him was a big reason for the sack numbers being dead last in the NFL, and right now, they don't have the necessary reinforcements in general, even if Bosa was playing. And then number 2, we're talking about one of the best players in football here. So the Niners leave in a week for Melbourne, Australia, and Nick Bosa now hasn't practiced in 3 weeks. Now, could it be contract related? I'm not sure. How could Bosa in his right mind be asking for a new deal when he was coming off a torn ACL. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. So that's why I think this is injury related, and we have no idea if he's going to be ready for week 1. Kyle Shanahan said he hopes that he's able to practice next week, but hoping is different than saying, yeah, he will be back at practice next week. Nobody really knows, which is also why this is worrisome. As far as some position battles to watch tonight, starting left guard has not been determined. We'll be watching Connor Colby, Robert Jones, Carver Willis. And the Niners, once again this offseason, didn't seriously address the offensive line. And once again, left guard and the interior, which really cost San Francisco last year, especially in the run game, is a big question mark. And the Niners have 3 different options in Colby, Jones, and Willis, who I don't think are good enough to play at left guard. Jake Brendel is already a weak spot at center. Dominic Pooney had a concussion, was out of protocol, went back into protocol. Colton McKivitz is an average to good on his best day type of right tackle. The Niners' offensive line philosophy continues to drive me absolutely crazy. The second safety spot should be Marquise Siegel alongside Jair Brown. Ashton Davis could challenge for that role. Malik Mustafa hasn't practiced in weeks because of a hamstring injury, but that position is up for grabs. RB2, RB3, I think it's going to be Jordan James, who's RB3, Kalon Black, who's RB2. I think Kalon was able to settle that last week with how he played against the Los Angeles Chargers. He looked fantastic, and Jordan James hasn't done anything for weeks since right before pads came on because he broke some ribs. And so this is a big game for Jordan James. I'm looking forward to seeing him get extended action because we barely seen him play in 2 years with San Francisco, but he's a very talented back. He didn't fumble once while at Oregon. He has good contact balance. He runs hard, and he's a pretty good pass protector. The backup corner spots are also a position group that I'll be watching. Jacob Robinson, Ephesians Prysock. They've had some really good moments throughout the preseason. Shoot, we could pencil in a question mark at starter because Renardo Green has a hamstring injury. So could Jack Jones steal that role? I thought Jack Jones was good last week against the Chargers. And then the linebacker depth pieces. Who makes this team? You know, the 49ers earlier this week traded for Deion Jones, but they are a loaded team at the linebacker spot. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw will be the starters. When the Niners are in that 4-3 base, I think Jaden Duggar's the guy over Nick Martin. Nick Martin has a hamstring injury, though, so he's not going to play tonight. That's unfortunate, but that's 5 linebackers right there. Then you have Garrett Wallow. You have Luke Gifford. You have Tatum Bethune. You have Jalen Graham. You have Deion Jones. It's 10 linebackers right there. So the Niners were a little bit thin at that position. They are extremely deep at linebacker right now, which is obviously a good problem to have. All right. It is about 1:30 Pacific. The Niners kick off tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific against the Raiders, an early kick for those of you on the West Coast to round out the preseason. We'll do a half-hour pregame show. We'll be live for Niners Raiders, and then we'll be live for a postgame show as well. Hope to see all of you there. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch you soon. Thanks for watching.